All right, let's watch this clip from Twitter. Here we go.
When I talk about Comicsgate and how I am such not a fan, it's not about their politics. Everybody thinks it's because, I'm woke or this. It's not. It's because of their marketing. You don't hear a peep from them until they got a book on Indiegogo, and then they're stirring the pot, saying terrible things about people. There's people in their club that I don't think are good people and are not good actors. And I don't think that that's the people you'd want to have as customers or associate with them. And when, listen, you lay down with dogs, you wake up with fleas, that's that kind of thing. You lay down with pigs, you end up coming up dirty. There's 1,000 comments about who you hang out with and what's that say about you. Even if you're profiting on them, this happens during wartime. There's profiteers who make money on wartime, selling weapons to both sides and stuff like that. And we talk terrible about those people. Well, if you want a book that doesn't have any of the politics in it, then make a book that doesn't have any politics in it and shut up. If Cyber Frog was a great book, it would have never stopped printing on Image. It would have lasted as long as Spawn did. Everybody's like, oh, this book is transcendent. The new book from Indiegogo, Cyberfrog, it's a transcendent book. It's not. Is he a competent artist? Yes. Yeah, he's a competent artist. Competent telling storytelling too with his art. Great. Make a book. Shut up. Now let's get away from the drama part of it because, that comes and goes. I can get canceled for hating on Comicsgate. Who knows? Those guys are vicious. They come after you, but I'm well able for them. I'm not big enough to care.
All right, let's talk about this video. I found this clip on Twitter. Someone shared it with me and said, hey, what do you think of this? So let me tell you what I know about this clip, and then I'll give my thoughts and opinions on all of this. So as far as I know, this is a local comic book shop owner who was talking about Comicsgate specifically, mentioned Cyberfrog. He talks about the politics, the business practices, the guilt by association, all of these things that go along with the Comicsgate community. I have my own opinions about it, but as far as I can tell with this clip specifically, that, there's no longer version that I can find anywhere in the comments under it. But the person that made the clip or uploaded the clip said that it was just basically cutting out the pauses and the ums and things like that to get the full context there. So I'm going to assume, going with that this is the full clip. This is everything the guy said, and that he is a comic book shop owner. Okay, so we're going to run with that so I can get my thoughts and opinions on this. So we talk about, there's a few things said in this video, like by, guilt by association and people who are doing it for profiteering reasons, like they're playing both sides and all of this. And there is some truth to that. There are people who are in it to make money, and they don't care about any of the issues on either side of the argument. They don't care about things being woke. They don't care about things being anti-woke. They're doing the centrist thing where they're seeing an opportunity to make money, and they're going to make money. And a lot of that has to do with not just people who are hanging out in the podcast or people who contribute to this kind of stuff. It has to do with the people who are printing the books that might say, I don't care who you are, I'll print whatever book you want me to print, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you can feel however you want to feel about that. For me, it's a case-by-case basis. It really depends on just how involved the person is with those communities and what the effects are of their involvement. And I have to take all that into account because I don't believe that there's a catch-all like answer for like the idea of guilt by association. People might be like, I don't like that. I get it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. You don't have to do things the way I do them. So for me, that's the way it works, is I have to look at the situation and understand the context in order to make my own judgments on that person in that scenario. But I would say when it comes to the argument of Comicsgate, we're talking about just the core people in Comicsgate, the ones who are the most active in that community. I think even taking guilt by association out of the equation, all of them do things that are questionable. In my mind, some of them more extreme than others. So I don't think it's just guilt by association. But hey, for some people, that might be the thing. Maybe it is guilt by association. Maybe they like one of them and don't think they're as bad as the other ones. And they're like, but they hang out with that one person. And, fair enough. All right. He also talks about the fact that, wanting to keep politics out of comics, and you can just leave the politics out and just make a comic book. And this comes to probably my biggest point about Comicsgate as a brand. First and foremost, I don't like censorship. So this is not me advocating that they should not be able to make the comics they want to make or tell the stories they want to tell. And I know some people within my own bubble are going to disagree with me on that and be like, no, they shouldn't exist. And that's fair. If you feel that way, that's fair. I think there's some topics that I wish weren't out there, that I wish people wouldn't make. But I think it comes down to like, if I could just use a magic brush and like brush away all the comic books that I didn't like for whatever reason, then if they had the ability to do that, would they do that? They're trying to do that with some stuff. So I just don't, I feel like that's a nuanced conversation. And as of right now, I'm just not into censorship at that level. So, whatever comic you want to make and put up on like a Kickstarter, Indiegogo, whatever, you are absolutely free to do that. And then let the people decide if they're going to fund it. And, it is what it is. Do I wish that there were some creators that could get more support? Yes, absolutely. I think there's a lot of great, fantastic creators out there making comic books that do speak to the sensibilities of marginalized communities and stuff that I love, that do not get the same exposure as some of these more hate-filled communities. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles. And that's more of a cultural shift than just specifically to comic books. It comes with the whole grift concept. But he talks about like making comic books without putting politics and culture in it. But I want to say that I don't think that Comicsgate comics, outside of the cultural war stuff online, that kind of like environment, I don't think they would do very well. And I'm saying I don't have any, like, I don't have numbers or a graph. This isn't me like doing what they do and just saying something and pretending like it's real. Like I don't have numbers for this, just my feelings on it. I don't think that Comicsgate comic books would survive without all of the discourse online. I think all of the arguing, the community stuff, the culture wars, the we hate women, women should be this and that, they shouldn't be involved in comic books, and gay people don't belong in comic books, and all this other stuff. I think all of that is how they sell their comics. I mean, that is the selling point for these comic books. I don't think side by side against any of the major publishers, a vast majority of these comics, they get peddled by a lot of these fake culture war guys. I don't think they would survive. There are a few of them that probably have the ability with the right publication processes and things like that could actually do well in comic book shops. But I think the vast majority of them they could be selling, and I've said this before, they could be selling water in a bag with their signature on it, and their fans would buy it because it's not about the comic books. So I think a lot of the Comicsgate community comic books, if you look at them and you really pay attention to them, you'll see that they just don't hold up next to the bigger comic book companies. And that could be access to, again, publishers, shipping, more people available to do things like inking and coloring and lettering and all of that stuff. I mean, there could be other factors playing into it that make the process easier for them. But then that goes back to the idea that a lot of people in the community, not just Comicsgate, but in the grift community that sells these kind of comics in general, that are late on their deliveries. Their comics are taking a long time to come out. Some of them have legitimate reasons why. Other people are just milking their pay pigs for it. They're just making customers wait for these comics while they sit around and make a bunch of money from them. And I mean, that speaks to the credibility of the person. It speaks to the, are they a stand-up person? Are they not a stand-up person? How do they really feel about their customers? And so I think that speaks to all of that. So in a lot of ways, I agree with this guy's sentiments in that regard when it comes to like Comicsgate and, indie comics that exist in like the diet Comicsgate space, like that whole bubble. Because ultimately, I don't think the vast majority of them are actually selling comics. I think there's some of the core members really do give a shit about making good comics. They really want to make good comic books. They really want to put out stuff that they believe in. And then as you expand from that, there become more and more leeches in that community who are just trying to turn profit from making quick, fast, cheap, easy, anti-woke comic books. And as long as there are pay pigs willing to buy them, I think that they will exist. Will they ever impact the ecosystem of the major comics community? I don't think so. And they may not have to. And indie creators may not have to do that. The indie space is full, just like brimming full of really creative people from all walks of life. So I don't know if the pockets of like the anti-woke people, Comicsgate adjacent people need to necessarily compete one-to-one with the big companies. I don't know if that's necessary for them to survive. We'll have to see in a few more years, because a lot of the Comicsgate audience is a much older audience. Are they going to continue to do this? Are they going to put in the time and energy? Because I do believe that once people step back, like some of these guys in Comicsgate that don't want to stream so much, that don't want to get on and do like 3-4 streams a week and cross over with other people's streams and try to sell their comics on other people's streams, I don't think that their business model will sustain for long if they pull back from that. So it'll be interesting to see as we get older, as these guys get older, how much longer they have in the game to get online and do what they're doing. And I think we're going to see more of that drop off eventually. So that's how I feel about it. I think that you can, the Comicsgate comics, the good ones, could sell in the shops outside of all of this stuff, but I do believe the vast majority of them, and this includes like not just the Comicsgate guys, but anybody in the space that are making these kinds of comics, I think the vast majority of them could not survive. And I think they actually bring down the quality of the people in this community. They're actually making good comic books that want to put out comics that they feel like is competent, that's comparable to the major publishers with artwork and lettering and care and concern. Because you can make a shit comic book, in my opinion, when it comes to politics and social issues, but that doesn't mean that the comic book is made badly. And so we have to remember that criticism, objective versus subjective criticism, is very important. And so also timely. I mean, you have to say comic books have to come out on time when you have people backing you. Anyway, what are your thoughts and opinions on any and all of this? What do you think of this guy's comments? Do you agree, disagree with him? Anything you want to say about any of my comments? Make sure you leave it down below. Thank you so much, Bears, for watching. I appreciate it. And make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, leave a like, and I will see you guys in the next video. Please leave a comment. I want some engagement down there to chat with you guys. I want to hear what you have to say. All right, see you later.